grounded in sinfully sunny Las Vegas, Nevada, Avantpop Bookstore presents interviews. Joining me on this podcast is Eztli Amaya. Eztli Amaya is a co-founder of the Fifth Sun Project here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Fifth Sun Project focuses on the vocal elements of art and activism, sharing the connection of both types of advocacy work together to make change. In strengthening relationships, we seek to build up and educate ourselves in understanding different struggles socially, culturally, and environmentally, as well as uplifting our own Indigenous roots. The group was founded and established in 2016 at the Southern Paiute Territory. Fifth Sun Project is a women-owned group focused on cultural awareness, Indigenous activities, and support for community. Joining me now, Eztli Amaya. All right. Well, joining me, I'm very excited. We have Eztli Amaya. What would I call you? A community leader, an activist, a organizer. You are with Fifth Sun Project, which is, you don't call it a nonprofit, or do you now?
No, definitely not.
You are how would you define it, and what's your mission statement?
So we are a grassroots group, I guess a collective. That's the goal, the mission. And we do have a mission statement that we use. We have a whole document to keep us organized. We have like a structure, kind of a board, you would say, the way a nonprofit runs, just to keep things in check and keep us consistent in our work. But we don't have a nonprofit status. We can't apply for grants. There's a lot of things that we can't do legally,
Yeah.
But we definitely do the work of a community group, collective, and our mission is just to showcase and highlight other groups, other artists and activists that are doing the work, that have passion and that are putting in efforts to build up communities here in Vegas. And I really wanted Fifth Sun to be kind of an open space, a safe space for others to bring in their initiatives and their ideas to keep building. And we're all just kind of building off of each other, all these ideas that we have to basically just make our space better, make what our local government can't provide, like make up for that, and that's through different initiatives.
Yeah, for a non-profit, you do some of the best nonprofit work I've seen in Las Vegas.
I appreciate that.
You guys you're pretty badass. So you're one of the founders. The founder is, how many people now did you start with, and how many people do you have?
So I'm a co-founder. It was founded by three of us. It's myself, Estefania, and Gio Rangel. They're sisters. So we started in 2016, and well, what is that, 7 years now? It's still the three of us. We're running it ourselves, but of course, all of the work that we've done throughout the years could not have been accomplished without all the other people that have joined us, whether they're artists, volunteers, just people that support us, that donate, that are also activists, have their own orgs, just collaborating with us. That's the collective part that, we are, I guess, striving for, is having everyone like building together.
Yeah. Well, last year you did close to 100 events?
Yeah. So last year we did 81 events. Yeah, and that's
huge,
well, that's
dude.
all broken down different things. We do regular mutual aid initiatives like weekly meal shares, and we do that with two other grassroots groups, Las Vegas Liberation and the Solidarity Fridge, and they have become not just like collaborators, but I would say even more than partners. They're the family. Victoria, who runs the Solidarity Fridge. If you haven't been there yet, that's on East Las Vegas, up on Charleston and Christie. That started off as a community pantry. Now it's a garden, a library. We have events there. It's become a safe space on the east side that is building up, I want to say like nourishing program, with education, with food, with culture, just everything that, our community is missing, that we don't get to build together, very DIY initiative.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell me, I want to get to the art aspect of it because you guys blow that up and do amazing work there with all the different artists, from musicians to artists that do other mediums. But the work you do with Solidarity Fridge and the feeding people, can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that started and now where you're at? Because I know it's gone to the garden, but I mean that's important and huge work that you're doing for the community. I mean that's massive.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good time to kind of announce. I've told a lot of other people and partners that we actually just received a sub-grant from Planned Parenthood for food sovereignty. So
Nice.
we'll be using that grant to keep building onto the garden, keep the program running, and build more programs within that space. So we started doing food shares with Las Vegas Liberation. They're actually, they do have a nonprofit status. And so they're one of our partners that started the weekly meal share called Their Home Too. And they were looking for more support. They lost one of their like food prep partners. I'm not sure who it was, but actually, who was it that made the connect? It was Rick, which is another partner of ours, amazing photographer, good friend. He reached out and he's like, hey, they lost their partner on this. It's a really important part that they lost for this program that they do. Would you guys want to partner with them? And we had just partnered with the Solidarity Fridge in growing the fridge initiative. So we said, yeah, like, let's do it. Well, we can do meal shares with the donations that, like, excess donations that the fridge is getting. When the Solidarity Fridge opened up in 2021, a lot of supporters were excited, that there was another way to connect and to give back, to volunteer their time, to donate if they had the means. So we all had a part in it, and since then we've been making it work. So we're going on 2 years. It'll be our anniversary May this year, 2-year anniversary.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we want to expand on that. We do the meal share for our unhoused neighbors, but with this grant that received, it's for food sovereignty on the east side, which is predominantly brown folks. So it's our people. It's a lot of undocumented folks, very underserved community. There's not a lot of choices, healthier choices. It's kind of a food desert, some would say. And it lacks some, I don't want to say culture, but like
attention. I live over there.
They've
left it. They've moved into other communities and they don't put money back into it.
They don't. There's a lot of, I just feel like, it feels deserted. Yeah. And we, are just trying to create our own space to bring all these things back and have something really going that's consistent, and the meal share is one program, the garden is another, and then, bringing culture too is reconnecting. Most brown folks identify as Latino, Hispanic, but, whether they believe it or not, they have indigenous blood, and they've lost a lot of that connection to, that side and their heritage. So that's something that we're learning along the way as we reconnect, and we want to, just keep amplifying that and bringing that, and one of the major focuses and key points with that is food. So it's all been a blessing, but and we're learning with it. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but we're learning and we're going.
Yeah, well, it's been successful. I mean, you guys have been doing such a great job. I mean, you've even been raising money for street vendors, which I thought I've never heard anybody doing that, and that was such a great thing that you guys.
Yeah, I think we're the first group to do that in Vegas.
Yeah.
So we actually got inspired by groups in California, and there's so many street vendors. Their street vendor population in California is like crazy compared to here. Vegas is small anyway, but there's grassroots group out there doing that work, doing bigger work than we do. You know, LA's huge, and there's other parts in California where they do that too. And I know that they all connect too, you know, going from San Diego all the way to like Sacramento. There's these groups that connect, and they create these funds to be able to like provide aid to their people. And so that's what we wanted to do here. So we started kind of outreaching to the local vendors, and that was probably the hardest. They're all very, I guess, skeptical. They, you know, you go to someone that's a stranger, they really are, you know, there's no relationship built yet. So they're like, you want to help me? Like, nah, I'm good. You know, like that's the initial kind of response that we get. But we've actually been able to maintain a few relationships with the same street vendors that we provide aid. So we try and do it kind of like a seasonal outreach and aid distribution. So we'll go for like at the end of summer when school is back in session, so supplies for the kids, and then when the holidays hit, food during November, and then gifts for the kids and the parents in December. And I think this year we're going to make that bigger, expand on that, and then also hit spring and include the garden with that, and include some kind of program with education and food. So we'll see how that goes.
It's admirable. So now I want to know what inspired you. What's your background that got you to want to be involved in your community so much?
Oh man, so I actually started, I guess, as an activist or advocate when I was about 21 with animal rights. So it started with animal rights advocacy and going to protests, you know, against like circus, animal abuse in the circuses, puppy mills, just the factory farming industry in general. A lot of it connected to PETA. So my family decided to go vegan when I was 2, and so we were vegan for about 6 years. And during that time, when I was just a little kid, I always remember, and always stuck with me, is like the PETA subscriptions that my dad had, and he would show me, you know, like, oh, you know, we don't. He's very anarchist. So his thing is like, we don't support any of these industries that like exploit others. And so it wasn't just with animal rights, it was also with war. Like we were always going to like anti-war protests since I was a kid. And I guess that always stuck with me. And so when I was older and started to take things more serious, when I was about 21, that's when I got back into it. I've been vegetarian most of my life. And I remember telling myself, like, I'm not doing enough. You know, I know about this, and I know about these harmful systems, and, you know, like I have a voice, I'm not using it. I'm just partying and into drugs and into drinking and into guys, and just, you know, like, now I gotta step it up. So I started kind of outreaching to see like where people were organizing, you know, where people were showing up. And then I actually went to India that same year with a friend who was practicing Buddhism. And I feel like 21, you know, you're trying to find yourself, you know, that what you're doing is not really what you want. So into the animal rights and into trying to find, I don't want to even say like a religion, but just some kind of peace, you know. I followed her steps and I went with her to India, and we spent about 10 days out there. And man, I thought Mexico was bad, you know, like with poverty. And no, I saw it like as soon as I stepped out of the plane, you know, I was like there in your face, like all the famine, you know, and there's nothing you can do about it. And how like the fine line, you see that, you see, you know, kids starving in the street, and then right across the street is these huge like multi-million-dollar hotels. And it was just like incredibly sad, and it really got to me. I came back from there thinking like, holy shit, like I never really thought about this and how capitalism has, like royally fucked us all. And I got to see that like firsthand experience. So I felt like, I couldn't stay quiet. I had to like look more into that and see what I could do. I remember at the same time I was in college, I was taking a philosophy class, and it was on ethics. And Peter Singer was one of the authors that I was following and did a paper on. And he just happened to be into animal rights and like famine relief. So, getting it, I guess he was, an initial like inspiration, and just looking to that, I started to reach out to my own community, because I know that, I couldn't go as far as I wanted to, and doing something big, like being part of um, I guess, a nonprofit that tries to save the world, right? So it starts within your own space. So I started reaching out, and I found Estefania, which is the other co-founder of Fifth Son. And so happens that we went to high school together. And I remember her when I saw her, I was like, this girl looks familiar. I feel like I know her. And when I asked to meet up with her and I heard her voice, I was like, we had a class together. Freshman year, we had a class together, and we were bad kids. Like we didn't go to school. We were like into fights, like just doing bad shit. And we were like, yeah, that was us. And then she was getting into animal rights. She was doing a lot of rescue with feral cats. And so we were like, man, like let's take all the bad shit that we've gone through in our past, and like what we're trying to get to now, and do something. Like let's start raising money for something that matters. And Fifth Son started, and we seriously started off by just doing house shows. Like that was our thing: house shows, benefit shows at my house. And we picked a few different causes that we wanted to donate money to, got people to support. Of course, we always wanted to bring in artist friends. I was dating someone who was in a band at the time. And so, I was in the music scene from his side. And then she would hang out with another band and like was close to those artists. So, we're like, oh, the different scenes, but let's bring them together, because I'm sure, they have more in common than they think. And that's how we started with the whole, I guess, like collective part of bringing people together.
Yeah, and it's it's really taken off and been successful. I mean, your guys' events are like a mini Lollapalooza. You got your what Lollapalooza, because I went to the first one, and that was their whole vibe. It was like activism with music and entertainment, and like that they wanted to bring that together, because the best way to get people involved with activism is to let them know that it could be a party vibe as well.
Yeah.
And you guys do that. I mean, your events are filled with some killer bands, and always with some cool artists and educational vendors and things like that. I mean, we've discovered a bunch of cool artists that we now work with here at Avantpop through your events.
Nice.
Cut and Press, Steven, and Seth Singer.
Steven.
He's got some good folks there for sure. So, yeah. Yeah. So now you've raised a ton of money too this last year. How much did you guys end up pulling in?
2022. So we raised 6,735. I want to say, yeah, that sounds right. And that's funny that you bring that up, as I'm thinking about a comment someone made a couple days ago to me. They're like, yeah, you raised 6,000. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And they're like, that ain't shit. I'm like, I thought about it. I didn't say anything. I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like that barely like got us through the year, like that's exactly what we spent in making a lot of these things happen. And he was like, nah, like you need more support, you need grants, you need money. Like I want to see you guys have like all kinds of money to make shit happen. And there's been a little bit of pressure from sides about turning into a nonprofit, but I don't have any plans. The girls from the group don't have any plans. Like we really want to stick to grassroots organizing. And the sub grant that we just got, like we can keep doing that. We can keep going through other nonprofits, get fiscal sponsors to help us out. It's like, hey, you want to help out, you're a bigger org, you're not sure where you fit in, you don't want to piggyback off of smaller groups, you don't want to use mutual aid as a like a clout tool, then support us, give us funds to make these things happen, because we're already doing them. We know the people best because we have relationships with all these people. You guys don't. And like, we don't really want you in our space to take control. Like, we don't. Like, that's
Yeah, that seems to be what happens a lot of times. You got a whole board to make happy. It's just like it becomes a company, even though it's not a company. It's not a profit company, but it can still make a lot of people money, and then you don't get as much done as quickly, because you guys make things happen pretty fast too.
yeah. So, and I thought about them, like, well, I wonder if we had more funds, if things would be slower, like slower pace. Because we do. I was just looking at the calendar for everything we have this year, and it's like there's an event after event after event. Like, there's at least 2 events every month. And um I actually work for a nonprofit. Like, that's my actual like day job. And yeah, there's no way that would ever happen with them. So I think, well, they have fun, so you would think that there would be, but I don't know. It seems to work. Things seem to work faster when you're given little resources.
Yeah, and look, you guys, here's some of the stats. You guys had 81 events. You have 36 food preps, 14 cleanups. You guys do cleanups. You did fundraising, 13 collabs, and yeah, over $6,000, almost $7,000. You got 6 long-term projects. You want to talk about those?
Yeah. So our long-term project, well, one of them we already touched on was the mutual aid fund. So we have two. I separate them into 2 different mutual aid initiatives. So one is for our unhoused community. That's one that we'll keep going with Las Vegas Liberation and the Solidarity Fridge. Whoever else is interested in partnering up for that. That's of Red Desert Collective. They're another group that we just started working with too, and we don't know them that well, but they do a lot. Like, they move their asses. They do a lot of good work. And then the other mutual aid project is the Street Vendor Fund. So that's like a mutual aid for the East Side, so from underserved communities, undocumented folks, and that one. I want to say is like the priority right now, because that's what we're using the sub grant for right now. So that's something that we have a timeline and we need to like move on. And then the other projects, Protect Pihimaha. So a lot. This one's this one's a little bit harder to talk about, just because a lot of people don't know, or maybe, as disheartening as it sounds, aren't as interested in about, is it's environmental justice. Has to do with land protection and tribal sovereignty, tribal rights. It's about my yeah. So Pihimaha is a mountain up north. It's at the border of Nevada and Oregon. It's also known as Thacker Pass. And Pihimaha translates to Rotten Moon. So that is Northern Paiute Shoshone land. And that huge piece of beautiful land is up for a lithium mine proposal. And if they start, which they've already started taking samples from the ground, once they start extracting from there, that will be the biggest lithium pit in this country. So there is a massive amount of lithium up in Nevada. Well, our whole state, all of Nevada is covered with minerals. So, a lot of, right now, Lithium Americas, they're in court over it. And so they've basically got their hands on that right now. But there are other groups, other companies, corporations that are after it. And so right now it's a huge fight for the tribes up there. They're not getting a lot of support. The land isn't protected. The mining law that we have here has been the same since 1872. Nothing has changed. So,
Which is unfortunate, because this is one of the main topics that we need more people to be paying attention to. just like the pipeline, which now exploded and nobody was caring about water rights. And when Donald Duke was out there trying to get people to pay attention, and, where was all the, people upset about that? And nobody really. And this is the same thing. It's just going to be a massive environmental disaster. And really, it just seems like there's too much money involved. They're going to push people out. It's unless more people hear about this, and that's what I'm hoping will happen.
Yeah, and that's what it has a lot of it has to do with politics, policy change and
tech. We love our lithium and tech.
Well, so a lot of the problems with this is the greenwashing, and it's like, oh, well, we can just drive electric cars. It'll make everything better. It's like, oh, well, what does it take to create those lithium cars? How much water? How much energy? And so the focus is in the wrong place. And then there's also the part of the I guess the economical part where these companies contract out workers. They come like to bigger cities, like Vegas, and they go to Black communities and they say, hey, we have jobs for you. We're going to help your economy grow. We want to help your community, and take them up north and, pay them good money to basically destroy another community's land. So, can't go that route either. And it's so dirty on all sides.
Yeah, that's America, baby. It's unfortunate, but I mean, we need more activists and people engaged with their communities like yourself to help change that. And if it keeps getting worse, we'll have more of that because people have to do something. But I mean, again, you guys are doing it on a fun level. I mean, you guys put on these great events. You guys got like a powwow vibe plus a like underground concert vibe. Like it's a mix it, and then you mix it in with your cool local artists, which you don't get that street vendor vibe in a lot of cities anymore, and you really pull that off. It's like your own. For Vegas people, First Friday that you do with vendors, music, food. You got some amazing chefs, vegan chefs that come out. Shout out to Chef Louis.
Shout out Louis.
And your activist dad. I mean, thank goodness he he did such a great job. Now this year, 2023, last year, Avantpop Publishing, we did get to work with you too. We did your native-based food zine, which turned out super cool. And then we also did your Fuck Columbus zine, which we absolutely love. Two things that we did the volume 2 of the cookbook, and now we're going to be doing another Fuck Columbus zine, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that was what I was going to talk about next as a long-term project, are these zines.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I guess, the most connected with this part, because I always felt like I wasn't very creative. Like, I'm not an artistic person, I feel. I'm very, like, right mind centered, I guess, like right brain, whatever they say is like the organizing part. I'm all about organizing and keeping things like, lined up. And I think that's like why the relationships I have with people are so focused like on collective building, because it's like a puzzle. You have your artistic side, and then you have the organized side. So I like working with artists to help them where they can't seem to fit the pieces, and then they can help me with like trying to express something. And so these zines are like the perfect way of doing that, of expressing like the advocacy part and the artistic part, like straight up artivism. And so these zines, I'm like super blessed to have met y'all at Avantpop and publishing our book and helping. And huge shout out to Sugar for the program layout. Now she's inspired me to understand how these programs work, so I can actually put in more work, so it's not all on her. And yeah, like it's been a learning experience, but I definitely want to keep this like going as long as we can. With the next volumes coming up, though I feel like every volume it gets more and more meaningful.
Yeah.
So Fuck Columbus Volume 2, we have a release date of February 18th, and that'll be here at the shop. I'm excited. We have a pretty radical team on this volume. they're all like some really badass activists. And we're also kind of dedicating it to Black History Month, but I think we wanted to go more of not, it's good to celebrate culture and the people and the communities, but it's also a raw version, like, hey, you know what, yeah, you need to also listen and see why things are so fucked up, and these are the people that are actually, like, putting in work and making things not go in that route and change them and figure out what needs to be done, figure out how we can build within our communities and not rely on these systems that weren't even made for us.
Yeah.
So that's I don't want to give away too much. I'm super excited for that volume, but
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been excited about all these things you guys have been doing. There's also the Native LGBTQ zine that we did with you guys that was super cool too.
mm-hmm.
I love that one as well.
Yeah, so that was a Stefania. I believe she has a second volume coming out for So we had Indigipride, which was the big LGBTQ focused event, specifically for Two Spirit, so Native, Indigenous, queer folks. And with that, the zine was kind of like a bonus that, hey, there's also all these people in the community that you might not know about. We want to feature them, kind of like a shout out.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so, and there's other people that, after that we got to meet and now we work with, or we will be working with, so.
Yeah, I thought it was super inspiring, especially, for young people of color that are queer and see that there are people in their community diverse in different jobs and doing different things and different styles. And I just thought it was a really nice way to let people know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we fucking love Fuck Columbus. That one is just great. I mean, the vegan cookbook's great too. We love it. But the Fuck Columbus, man, we'll keep doing that one for as long as we have to.
Right. No, yeah, that one's very like that's supposed to be like, hey, sit down and listen,
Yeah.
like more, I guess, powerful. The other ones are powerful too, but this one's.
Yeah, I see this one evolving for you guys too, and taking it just keep getting better and extending and mutating into something really powerful. I mean, already it's a good base, but I think you guys are really gonna do some good with this for sure. Now this year, let's talk about what we got going on this year.
Oh, man.
2 events a month, which, by the way, we got to look at your calendar and make sure we're not crossing over.
Well, I'll get to all the bigger, exciting, not so much work in it events. So the first big event that we have coming this year is Lovers Affair. So if anyone went the first year, which was last year at the Indian Center, knows it was like an old school, like nostalgic 90s, kickback kind of vibe. And so this year we wanted to make it bigger, and we'll be having it at Starboard Tack at the parking lot. We built such a good relationship with that bar, and most of the events that we have there are not even inside the bar, they're outside. So we want families to be able to come, and people who can't be inside a bar, they don't want to be around cigarette, or they have kids, they don't drink, whatever, we have that space outside. And so with this year we wanted to expand on, I guess, the culture of it. So what is Lovers Affair, what exactly is the theme? And we'll be bringing in like lowriders and graffiti artists, and like a photo booth with a backdrop, like super 90s, a middle school photo shoot kind of thing. Best fit contest, of course, food vendors. We wanted to have like swap meet vibes, and have people in the shop around, and have the entertainment of the art, the graffiti art is a whole culture itself, Marisol Blue Mango, we all know and love her, does amazing artwork. Like, she'll be doing a flash sheet of tattoos for the kids. So it's Valentine's Day theme, so that's the whole like title, Lovers Affair. It's like sad boy, sad girl, if you don't celebrate Lovers Day, it's you had a lover's affair, come kick it with us.
Yeah.
And we'll just be playing like, 90s R&B, oldies, like Zapp and Roger, like all that good old school stuff. And so the cause for that one is going to be our first street vendor fundraiser. So all the funds that we make from that will be going into our street vendor relief fund. And we've also collaborated with Abby. She is like super dope, really young, like awesome artist that we've worked with before. She comes to our events. We hosted her at First Friday last October. And she's from the East Side, so she knows the community. She knows the culture and the art on that side, and how we all kind of see our community, and she translates that really well into her art. So she's doing a piece for us so we can have shirts, and we'll be making profits from that to be able to go into the street vendor fund. So shout out to Abby for helping us with that. So it'll be very fun.
So that's February
11th.
11th.
February
Okay.
11th. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's our first big fundraiser. And following that will be the Fuck Columbus zine release, which is turning into a big one.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be kind of low key, but everyone's very excited. We even have people coming out of town for that.
Right.
And that's February 18th here at Avantpop.
Yeah. Bookstore. Yeah.
And then pretty sure this is happening. We already locked the date in at the bar. Starboard again will be March 4th. It'll be a art fundraiser for reproductive rights. And so it's International Women's Day. Around that time, I think it's the 7th. And Wild West Fund, they have a goal to make. So I know that fundraising is needed right now for their goals. So we're helping them out with that along with Marisol and Blue Mango. So we're all kind of collabing together to make that happen. And it'll be mostly women artists contributing to it, having an art gallery, having a raffle piece to be able to raise funds. And then of course vendors, food and all that. That though I won't have more information until after tomorrow.
Yeah. No, we'll post it up on our Instagram.
Yeah, that one's gonna be good though. That one's a very important cause. And there's so much. Like,
yeah.
My mind went.
We'll keep bringing you back every quarter to go over the latest stuff because I know you're on fire. And everyone, Eztli is also a mother who has a beautiful little child and you're just hustling. You're just hustling, man, and it's impressive. You're making a lot of great stuff happen for Las Vegas and our communities of color. And we're stoked to be working with you because you're making some cool stuff happen. And you guys are a lot of fun, man. We always have a great time hanging out with you at your events. When you guys are coming to ours, I mean, your whole team is impressive. And I'm hoping that more people are inspired by the work that you do and continue to do great work too, just like it, because it's much needed, and there's never been a time that we've needed it more. So
yeah, and I hope that people feel comfortable talking to us. Maybe they have questions or even concerns or whatever. Just reach out.
How do they reach out, and how do they donate?
So what's funny? We're only active on Instagram. Well, that's not true. Rick just made us a Twitter, and Estefania made us a TikTok, which I have no say in. I don't have the capacity to go further than Instagram. So if you want to talk to me specifically, go through Instagram. But no, I mean, we have a regular email, fistsumproject@gmail, and that's the usual way to contact us. And all our donations are through our link tree, which should be on every platform, and it's not always in the bio. So the link tree will take you to different platforms where you can donate. And sometimes folks want to donate cash, so they'll come through to the next event, and they're always welcome to make a donation there. And yeah.
Eztli Amaya, everybody. Thank you for coming on board. It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm stoked that we can start off this year with you and Fifth Sun Project.
Thank you.
Avantpop Bookstore Presents would like to thank Eztli Amaya for joining us for this podcast. And for more information on Fifth Sun Project, you can go to their Instagram at Fifth Sun Project. You can also find their zines here at Avantpop Bookstore in Las Vegas or online at avantpopbooks.com. Thank you again for listening, and we hope you join us again here soon for more at Avantpop Bookstore Presents. The theme music for Avantpop Bookstore Presents is performed by artist Dillashu. And I hope you can join us again for another edition of Avantpop Bookstore Presents.